I don't know what to say to you, quite frankly, because one of the conversations we were having before we started is I wanted to ask him, I mean, why should people participate? I mean, why is it important for people to participate? And it depends on who you're looking at and where you're located in society that you look at participation in a meaningful manner or whether it looks like an irrelevant exercise. And one of the things I have to say off the bat, Canadian politics sucks. I mean, it's the most boring, shitty politics I've ever seen. Pardon my language, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. But really, I mean, it's so boring. I mean, if I had this kind of leadership, I wouldn't vote. And I vote purely out of boredom. I don't vote because I'm committed. I don't vote because I'm ideologically driven. I don't vote because I'm excited. I don't vote because I think my vote will actually matter. I vote because I have nothing else to do at that time and I think I should go and do it. And it really is that pathetic. I mean, the quality of leadership. I mean, think about it. When we think that Michael Ignatieff is the leading light, our version of an Obama, we've got a problem. We've got a severe problem, man. I mean, I come from a country where when our prime minister used to speak to about, a small crowd of a few million people, he used to rip his shirt off and say, you want to see my heart? This is where my heart is. You can rely on me. And people used to say, yes. They didn't even have nice little terms like, yes, you can, and yes, we can, and change we can bring. No, we didn't have pretty little slogans. But the fact was you could believe and trust your leadership. I remember Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in Pakistan doing that. I mean, whether he was lying or not is irrelevant. All politicians lie. The point is say it in at least in an interesting way. So one of the things is that the politics is generally boring in Western countries, right? But particularly in Canada in a good old way, it's really, really boring. And the leadership is pathetic. And who the hell found? I mean, like watching a debate at the provincial or the federal level is about as exciting as watching paint dry. I mean, I find paint drying a lot more exciting actually because I'm wondering what would happen at the end of it. Whereas the debate that takes place in Canada, I don't care what happens at the end of it because it ain't going to be any different from what was happening yesterday. Having said that, and this is just my particular political belief, and I am politically engaged. Now imagine people who are not politically engaged. Now we are talking about immigrants and refugees. How can we encourage immigrants and how can we talk about immigrants and refugees getting involved and participating in the political process? Well, let me tell you why, if they are not involved, why they're not involved. One thing is off the top of the bat that is absolutely critical is that a lot of immigrants and refugees cannot vote. Well, if voting is a mechanism for participation, no matter how, superficial, no matter how, limited that may be, if you cannot vote, there goes your first, act of democratic participation. And when I first came to Canada 22 years ago, you could actually vote at the municipal level. You could. You couldn't vote at the federal and the provincial level, but you could vote at the municipal level. And I remember, because I was coming from Pakistan, where I hadn't voted in my entire life, I was so excited to get my citizenship because I wanted to. I voted at the municipal level, but I wanted to really vote at the provincial and the federal level. And I remember having that conversation with the citizenship judge. He's asking me stupid questions like, where is Victoria? I'm like, she's dead. And he's like, no. And he's like, no, I mean the place. I'm like, who the hell cares where Victoria is? I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to become a Canadian citizen because I want to be able to cast my vote. But you know what? Right now you can't do that. Because sometime, I think it was, I don't know, it was Darth Vader or Mike Harris who discovered it, or somebody discovered that there was, some loophole in some act somewhere along the line. So they immediately shut it down, of course. Heaven forbid that people should be able to participate, right? So where the hell were you guys? Hi.
Come down closer, actually. If you
Come down closer, please.
We're trying to get everyone to be a bit more intimate in the discussion.
Like I'm having an intimate conversation and suddenly all of you show up? That's great. Come. Not at all. I'm happy to see all of you.
Yeah, better late than never.
Please excuse me, I'm a little irreverent myself. So like I was suggesting to you, the Municipal Act was, had to be changed because Darth Vader, Mike Harris, discovered that, heaven forbid there was a loophole and some people might actually sneak through and participate. We don't want the democracy where everybody participates. No, hell no. So we immediately changed that. So now, no immigrant or refugee can vote till they become citizens. Now, I don't know about you, about how many of you have gone through a citizenship process lately, but 3 years is the minimum. If you haven't got any complication, you should be able to apply in 3 years. That doesn't mean you actually get it in 3 years. It takes up to 5 years, at least minimum, for permanent residence. If you're a refugee, you could take up to 10 to 12 years, or never, that you get your citizenship. That means you cannot vote municipally, provincially, or federally. So that if you think voting is a symbol of democracy, well, it is not open to immigrants and refugees. And since immigrants and refugees, by the way, since the 1980s are also people of color, because you do know that there was a shift in the 1980s in our immigration pattern. The demographic shift has resulted in what is called now the immigrants and refugees who are coming into this country are called non-traditional. Of course, me being paranoid, I think it's a euphemism for race. But I could be completely off the mark. What is so bloody non-traditional about us? We still pack a bag, we try to get a visa and not sneak in, we still have to take a plane, we still have to go through that goddamn immigration. Oh, pardon my language. Oh, somebody told me I'm so use terrible language. I still have to go through all of that, so what's so non-traditional about me? I still take a plane to get here. Canada is so far back or beyond, you can't swim to this place, man. You can't walk to this place. So you do come in a traditional way. Maybe what's non-traditional is that we used to come by boat, now we come by plane. So the only non-traditional thing that I can think of that has happened since 1980 is that the people who are coming here are no longer coming from Europe. They're coming from Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Now call me paranoid, but that's a euphemism for race. So there is a demographic shift in our immigration pattern. So it's interesting that round about the same time, and like I said, I could be conspiracy theorist, municipal franchise has been taken away. So first and foremost, when we look at immigrant and refugee population and you're wondering why they don't participate, well, one of the things is they can't. They cannot vote, so they cannot participate. Now, however, voting is not the only form of participation. I realize that. What amuses me a lot is that people are so concerned that immigrants and refugees are not political enough. I find that really strange because some of us were so political we had to come here in the first place. Like we were so political for our countries of origin that we had to actually come here because we were being persecuted for our politicization. Now we come here and suddenly we are not political enough.